Well, thank you very much. What a wonderful set of keynote presentations. Let's give our presenters a big hand. I wanted to let you all know that we have 315 viewers watching this presentation live, and they've got some questions. And I'm sure many of you have questions as well. And we want to get some audience participation. At the same time, we have lost a bit of time. We only have about 45 minutes before lunch. I did ask my esteemed colleague, Jafari, if he would be willing to listen to the three presentations, and based upon his experience and all of the scholarly activities he's been engaged in, if he would give a few minutes and share his impressions.
Thank you very much, Don. What he didn't tell you is that he told me that do it in a couple of minutes. Summarizing the three presentations in 2-3 minutes would be impossible. Especially we academicians we can talk forever on the subject that has been discussed. What I found uniform or common among all three presentations is that they were tourist and tourism focused. In other words, they just wanted to see what a better future is going to be for the tourism industry and tourism consumer. There's no fault in that, actually. There's absolutely no fault in that. But technology should also allow us to expand our horizon and think about other possibilities that the same technology can offer to us. For example, Google Glass, of course, it would help the tourists to have a better experience, ask questions, take photographs, but at the same time could be used to provide safety and security for the tourists who are going to faraway places. Beyond that, the same Google Glass can take privacy away from people. Now they can be chased no matter where they go. They can be chased. They know exactly where they are. Technology can do that. The idea for tourism is to escape, is to go away, to become anonymous. And then suddenly, no matter where you turn, everybody knows where you are. Now, to make a little bit joke out of this, you know, you go to your hotel room in the evening, and you put your Google Glass on the desk, and your wife or husband can remote control it and can see every action of yours in the hotel room or wherever you are. The technology allows you to do that. So somehow privacy could be lost too. We already have this debate of cell phones in the USA and the fact that everybody's phone calls are checked. We talked about processes, and in order to have competitive market, again, that was tourism focused, but can't we do anything for the host community? Sometimes we develop tourism just for the sake of tourism and just for the sake of the tourists. After all, tourism is supposed to benefit the host community. The advertisements and the competitive market that we create is always seen through the eyes of the tourist. No fault in that. If the purpose is that, no fault in that. But the reality is that the product that we create sometimes is not favored by the host. That brought an example to my mind. In an Asian country, cameras were given to the local people and said, why don't you take any photos you want, and we use your photos for the purpose of tourism promotion. So in other words, the idea was for the local people to define the photos and the images they want to create of themselves. Well, the cameras were submitted back and the photos were looked at, and I'm not going to name the country. Most majority of the photos were not showing the feet of the persons who were photographed. The reason was that a number of those local people had no shoes on, and the person would be ashamed to show that this is my country, and people in my country don't wear shoes. My point is, in our marketing, we always see the things through the eyes of the tourist. Should the local people have a voice in the images we create out of them and we promote it internationally? I know I already went beyond my 2 minutes, but the last speaker says the future is exciting and it's all ahead of us. But yes, it is exciting, but hopefully we can also engineer it to the better advantage of the host and guest, tourists, and the tourism industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jafar. You know, Jason, you were discussing all those innovations of technological nature. You mentioned the cloud, but the cloud seems to be exploding right now. It's over capacity, and they've invented something called the fog. But where do we deal with all these disruptive types of technologies, and are they a source of innovation?
So our data people say that we were in the cloud years ago, right? We're a big data center. We have a mainframe. We have server farms, all of those good things. The cloud is really a managed environment that does a similar kind of thing. And I think that you touch upon a really important point. There is a lot of what's seen as innovation that is often the repackaging of things that have gone before, but with either a different business model or a different marketing spin around it. And I think that, for me, innovation is really about differentiation and finding ways of doing things differently. And I think that, you know, the backlash that tends to occur, the fog, to use your example, it is really about where there's such hype, and people like Gartner talk about the hype cycle, where you go through a sort of, you go through something called the trough of disillusionment at one point. And that is where effectively this backlash starts to happen, where all of the technology and all of the ways that it could be used starts to unravel, if you like. And people need to keep at the front of their mind, why are we using this technology? What is it for? What's the market problem I'm trying to fix for my customers and for society, so that both benefit from those things?
So these disruptions can be both positive as well as negative. Arnie, thank you so much for the glass. I've been dying to try it out myself. But we do have a question related to some of your points from our virtual audience. Talking about the sharing economy, which you mentioned in tourism as a source of innovation, are we seeing any of the sharing economy companies in tourism, like Airbnb, by the way, valued recently at $10 billion, Uber, valued recently at $11 billion, Feastly and others, are they being embedded in the official national or state internet portals, distribution channels, or are they a source of conflict?
Well, you're seeing a little bit of both. And what you're seeing is that the travel, we've got two perspectives. One, how the government views the collaborative economy, and second, how the travel industry views them in those regards. So the travel industry seems to have moved towards co-opting, hijacking, just simply acquiring, when they can, models that mimic the collaborative economy. And you saw Zipcar, which was sort of what really the first that I think got a lot of people's notice, was I think acquired by Avis. Is that right? That's right. And what as I mentioned before, the structure of these collaborative companies are no longer really so much collaborative. They're just alternative business models. And I think that when it did seem that they were, in fact, genuinely collaborative, a lot of governments, they didn't have much scale. A lot of governments were willing to sort of turn a blind eye towards regulating them. But now you're seeing a really aggressive move by the New York City Attorney General, essentially, going after them, demanding that they know who it is that's owning or who's listing the different Airbnb rooms, and they're finding out that they are actually very professionally managed. And there's going to be a blending. It's hit a scale. The number of rooms that Airbnb and HomeAway, the second one that's frequently mentioned, the combined number of listings they had last year were essentially equivalent to the Intercontinental Hotel Group inventory. So it's not going to frighten the hotel industry to the point where it's alarming. It would be they have another competitor, one of a dozen large competitors. But there is certainly a trend that suggests that this is just going to get bigger and bigger and expand in more and more areas. And one thing that you're seeing that's interesting is the travel industry, the established travel industry, has really begun to look for ways to partner with the collaborative industry. One example is British Airways was wanting to run a promotion that showed that they can provide an authentic experience. So, since authenticity is such a buzzword, and they found a website which aggregated local citizens, amateur tour guides, but who had a real passion and love for their towns in Italy and who spoke English, who would be willing to sign up with British Airways. And it was a collaborative effort between the establishment and the upstart.